The scorching apocalypse arrived as the mummification virus swept across the world. The system teleported two beastmen right in front of me and my roommate. She chose the delicate Merman over the rugged Lion-man, but the pampered Merman kept holding her back. The Lion-man's combat prowess was extraordinary, carving a path through enemy lines with me in tow, on the very day our alliance formed. My dying roommate poisoned and abducted me. When I opened my eyes again, we'd somehow been transported back to the orc selection ceremony. Chosen ones, you may now make your selection. A cold mechanical voice rang out. My eyes fluttered open, meeting the mermaid's pale blue gaze. I choose this one, my roommate Opal shouted, darting toward another beastfolk and slapping his stamp on it with dramatic flair. The binding successful chime rang out. She exhaled in relief and shot me a challenging look. Bet you didn't see this coming, Sage. The Lion-man is mine in this lifetime. Looks like she's been reborn just like me, so, I said calmly, and she clapped her hands in amusement. You know better than I do how powerful Leo is. Without him in our past life, you'd never have gained everyone's admiration or formed that alliance. Opal spread her arms wide, her eyes gleaming with manic intensity. In my past life, I chose the wrong orc. That's how you lucked out and got the upper hand. But the heavens gave me a second chance, and now the Lion-man is bound to me, so I, Opal, am destined to be the protagonist of this apocalypse, your savior, all of you. No wonder in my past life when I kindly treated her illness, she tricked me into drinking poison porridge on the Alliance's founding day, taking us both down together. Turns out this person had been a lunatic all along. Then I wish you success, oh savior. After giving a half-hearted reply, I went to form the bond with the mermaid. She stepped in front of me before I could move. Sage, we were roommates once. If you kneel and kowtow 3 times, then willingly become my orc's plaything, its beast of burden and entertainment, I might just consider letting you. Opal's words died abruptly. My blade was already pressed against her delicate throat. Opal, you think you're something special, huh? Want me to kowtow 3 times and light incense for you too? Sage, you're insane. Her voice trembled. I'm the chosen protagonist here. Lay one finger on me and see what happens. The chosen protagonist, I sneered. Let's see if your plot armor can save you one more time. My grip tightened on the blade. A crimson line bloomed across her porcelain neck. Sob, I was wrong, Sage. Please don't do anything rash. I spoke without thinking. Just put the knife down. I'm begging you. I don't want to die. My face darkened. I'll admit it, for that split second. I genuinely wanted to kill her. After all, she was the one who ended me in my past life. But my gaze traveled past Opal to the Lion-man behind her, his eyes half-lidded. His combat prowess was truly remarkable, but perfection eludes even beasts, just as it does men. Behind the brilliance lies an abyss. The Lion-man's other face is a mountain of corpses built from flesh and blood. Dangerous enough to kill me 1,000 times over. A clean slit throat would be too merciful for Opal. Didn't she want to be the protagonist of the apocalypse? Then let's see if fate will grant her that role. Right now, Opal was begging for mercy through snot and tears. I sheathed my knife and grabbed her by the collar. Get out, and don't you dare bother me again. Out, you're kicking me out. I paid the damn rent. What gives you the right? I twirled the knife deftly in one hand. She shuddered involuntarily. Fine, I'm leaving right now. I chased Opal and the Lion-man to the doorway. She took 2 steps back, her face instantly darkening. Sage, you're the one burning bridges tonight. That mermaid's nothing but dead weight. Binding with it will ruin you forever. Next time we meet, I'll grind you under my heel. I shut the door, ignoring her yapping. To my surprise, I turned straight into the mermaid's path. It gazed at me with calm eyes. Master, I've been waiting for you. It raised its hand before me. So now, bind yourself to me. Let me be your orc. From this day forth we share one life, one death, one destiny. 2. So hot. I kept squirming when a sudden chill crept across my waist. Reaching out, my fingers met something soft and slippery. I grabbed it and instinctively pressed it against my chest. Master, that's not allowed, a male voice chimed in. My eyes flew open. Soren was crouched beside me, watching me with an amused smile. You're awake. I released my grip on his tail and cleared my throat awkwardly. Awake now. The moment I spoke, it suddenly propped up its upper body and brought its face close to mine. Hot breath puffed against my ear. Now that you're awake, go find us some food. I'm certain my master will annihilate those revolting mummies today and return triumphant. The way they made such cruel words sound so suggestive actually made my breath catch. It seems the ancient legends didn't lie after all. Merfolk. All of them are beautiful monsters skilled in beguiling human hearts. I leaned out to peer through the window. The streets were piling up with more desiccated corpses. It's been 8 days, still won't come out with me. Yeah, I've been operating solo for a week now, though Opal kept calling merfolk deadweights. I just thought they were weaker in combat. Never imagined they couldn't even move alongside humans like other beast folk. The first couple days were manageable. 90% of people chose to stay home waiting for rescue. Getting supplies is still relatively easy for me. The zombies move slowly and aren't too numerous, easy to take down when encountered, but after a week, most areas have already fallen, their numbers have multiplied, and they've become noticeably faster. With no rescue in sight, panic spread through the crowd, and looting began to break out. Some resorted to extreme violence, even killing over a few cans of soda. Orcs carry dimensional storage. Having him around would take a huge load off my shoulders. Besides, once bonded, we share the same system interface, including hunger and thirst meters. You'll die if it reaches 0. The messed up part is we have to stay together just to replenish these through eating and drinking. If he can't leave, I'll have to clock in daily just to eat here for my health. It's such a hassle and a total time waster. Soren was sitting on the edge of the bed at that moment. Upon hearing my question, it let its tail droop to the floor. Master, I'll give it a try. It stood up. The next second, it let out a muffled groan and collapsed straight down. Startled, I rushed to catch it. Only then did I notice countless red marks covering the other side of its tail. Are you hurt? I asked. Soren frantically hid his tail behind his back. Master, I'm fine. Don't worry. Speak. It opened its mouth. Hesitated for a few seconds, then whispered, Soren wanted to help ease your burdens like other beast folk do, so I quietly opened the balcony door while you were asleep, but merfolk naturally fear heat. The moment my tail touched the outdoor ground, it got scalded. I remember your conversation that night, though I don't understand this past lives concept. I can guess that Lion-man was originally your beast folk companion, wasn't he? At this point, he let out a sigh and lowered his head. That lion guy looks so protective, unlike me who just ends up being a burden. Right now, Soren looks like a pitiful little puppy with hurt feelings. After muttering a few more words to itself, it suddenly raised its head, tear-filled eyes with reddened corners. Master, have you ever regretted binding with me? Outside, the temperature soared to 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. 3. Downstairs, desiccated corpses wailed endlessly. I'm a driven woman who's been reborn to continue building my empire. This should be an adrenaline-pumping power fantasy, yet the mermaid before me clearly doesn't belong in this scene. Could the system have actually glitched? Appearing in titles like Mermaid Reborn, Love Me Again, The Mermaid's Deadly Romance, Siren's Seduction. Did you really bring that cliché plot device here? This is the apocalypse, a scorching hot apocalypse. We're fighting for survival here, and you're asking if I have regrets. I do regret it. Once an orc is bound, the connection cannot be severed. Now we're bound together by a single life force. To prevent its emotions from endangering my life, I have no choice but to humor it. I smoothed Soren's hair and shook my head. Of course I don't regret it. You're wonderful, though the other beast folk can follow orders. I what? He asked with sparkling eyes. I maintained a calm exterior while desperately scrambling for compliments in my mind. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of the tail beside me. I clapped my hands. But your tail is so cool. It helps me stay cool and sleep soundly every night. That's absolutely amazing in this scorching weather. Soren, you're the best. With that, I immediately stood up to put on my heat-resistant gear. Stop overthinking and focus on recovering. I've got everything handled outside. You won't go hungry. Turns out not everyone can provide emotional support. This thing is even more exhausting than killing zombies. Master, are you absolutely certain? It pressed. I nodded. Yes, absolutely, truer than pure gold. All right, I've got to go now. I'll bring back treats. The sudden flash of my personal interface cut off my unfinished words. Congratulations, host. You've completed the mermaid exclusive quest, being chosen with conviction. First quest reward, 50 attribute points freely distributable among combat, companionship, and storage. Mermaid exclusive interface unlocked. Subsequent quests can be accessed through panel prompts. Before I could process what happened, 3 new attribute lines appeared in the previously empty bottom left panel. Full capacity is 100, currently all at 0. Xiaohu bot prevents document forgery. For bookfinding bots, choose Xiaohu, reliable heavy checkmark and scam-free. Exclusive dashboard, so mermaids are actually raise entering characters. Jackpot. Soren, look, you can come out with me now. I pointed at the companion's status bar and turned to him excitedly. Soren was staring straight at me. Seems my master really wants us to be inseparable. What nonsense is he talking about? Going out together makes it easier for me to load stuff into the space. Of course I want to. I forced a smile and didn't respond to him, shifted my gaze to those 50 skill points. He stored them in his dimensional inventory. As for combat prowess, after a moment's hesitation, I decided to go all in and max out the follow skill. Skill points allocation complete, after the notification chime. I turned to look at Soren on the bed. He didn't seem any different, except for slightly flushed cheeks. I opened the balcony door and beckoned to him. Soren, come out and give it a try. His face turned even redder after I said that. That's when I noticed. It was still under the blanket, in the scorching heat. Trying to get heatstroke or what? Are you okay? Why on earth are you covering? I walked over while saying this and reached to pull. Master, don't. It raised a hand to stop me. But I was quicker, and then, I saw a pair of powerful, slender legs. Oh my, oh my, oh my, little Tiger bot anti-piracy file protection. Choose little for bookfinding bots. Tiger, reliable and trustworthy, no pitfalls. For, is this what happens when you drag the follow attribute halfway? Wow, the fishtail just turned into legs. I immediately turned around and theatrically covered my eyes with my hand, and of course, I couldn't resist saying that classic line, I didn't see anything. Never gets old seeing Master flustered like this, he murmured. Huh, what did you say? I asked, puzzled. What do you mean, how many times? Isn't this our first binding? Never mind, he said, his tone suddenly tinged with melancholy. Before I could press further, I felt a tug at my sleeve. Master, could you help me find a pair of pants? He spoke up, reverting to his usual obedient puppy demeanor. Maybe I just misheard earlier. A few minutes later, I scratched my head sheepishly while looking at him. Sorry about this, just bear with the outfit for now. There's a mall 2 blocks away where we can get you changed. Soren glanced down at the floor-length skirt, then back up at me, on the verge of falling apart, yet still managing a smile. What I wear doesn't matter, being able to go out with my owner is what truly counts. The moment those words left his mouth, a guttural roar echoed from outside the room, then, the front door began to shudder. Oh no, the ghouls are banging on the door. That can't be right. Based on my past life experience, ghouls usually roam the streets during the first week and never climb stairs, but since Soren couldn't go out with me, I took precautions. I actually skinned 2 ghouls' leather belts during my last outing and pasted them on the front door. The mummy scent at the entrance should have been enough to throw them off, though these decoys do need regular replacement. But it's barely the 3rd day, no way the scent faded this fast. Just then, a yellowish-green shadow flashed into view downstairs. It darted swiftly through the rows of mummified corpses before halting directly across from me on the balcony. That streak of yellow was the Lion-man. As for the green, it was Opal, clad in corpse leather, riding on its back. Our eyes locked midair. She tilted her head triumphantly and shouted, "My bad, Sage. Thought only that useless cripple was home. Figured I'd send the mummy in to finish it off. That'd take you out too. Didn't expect you'd be here. Perfect. You two can die together. Ha ha, ha ha." She threw her head back in maniacal laughter, my hands clenched involuntarily into fists at my sides. At that moment, the gate crashed to the ground with a thunderous boom. Countless mummified corpses came pouring in frantically. For secure document protection against piracy, choose Shahubot, reliable, stable, and hassle-free. Soren, go. 5. I grabbed its arm, ready to leap off the balcony. Not only did he not move, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me into his arms. Seriously, dude. You're pulling romantic moves in a life-or-death situation. Are you out of your mind? Hurry up and, look. He shot me a knowing glance and cut me off mid-sentence. I didn't turn around immediately, because I'd also noticed the invading mummies weren't attacking us. They seemed drawn by something more important, stampeding toward the balcony before leaping down. What's going on? I wondered. Also, could you let go? I can barely breathe. Soren reluctantly loosened his grip around me, but before I could relax for even 2 seconds, he slipped his arm around my waist again. I was suddenly lifted into the air as he carried me to the other side. While moving me, he swiftly raised his leg and delivered a powerful kick forward. A desiccated corpse had its head kicked clean off. Had we not switched positions, it would have been me who lost my life. I thanked him, though something felt off. Soren's combat ability is literally 0, but that fluid combo just now, clearly skilled. Thanks, piss off. Disgusting creep, Sage, you bitch. What underhanded tricks did you pull? Why are these beasts all coming after me? Get away, get the hell away. Opal kept cursing downstairs. A horde of desiccated corpses was hot on her heels. They came in waves, their numbers overwhelming like a tidal surge. It suddenly occurred to me that I might have heard a faint door opening sound while getting clothes for Soren, combined with his calm reaction. "You're doing?" I asked. Soren nodded and admitted frankly, "Yes. I spotted them the moment they showed up and accidentally overheard that woman's scheme. There happened to be a fresh corpse in the hallway, so I skinned it and sandwiched the hide between those 2 other skins. Human blood really is the best bait for mummies, but he couldn't have taken more than 10 seconds opening and closing that door. He not only skinned the corpse in such a short time, but also sandwiched it between those 2 flayed skins on the door. He gently shook my hand. "I only did this for safety reasons." Master doesn't think I'm cruel, does he? Staring at that innocent face before me, I instinctively wanted to take 2 steps back, but the attribute prompt on the panel made me reconsider. How could that be? You did great. After all, Opal tried to harm us first. Soren, thank you for protecting me. You're truly the best orc in the world. I'm so lucky to have you. I took a step forward and gently embraced him. The moment their bodies touched, the notification chime sounded again. Congratulations. Host, you've completed the Mermaid exclusive quest, Ultimate Recognition, quest reward, 30 skill points, a Beastkin exclusive system. I'd say Sage's bootlicking system would be a more accurate name. With the skill points secured, I slipped out of his embrace. Now that the following issue is resolved, time to get down to business. We can't stay here anymore. Let's head to Zone. Zone was where I established the alliance in my past life. It's also where I met my best companion, Arya. Arya was a few months younger than me, always tagging along calling me Big Sis this and Big Sis that. She doesn't have orcs, nor is she skilled at killing ghouls, but she's a wizard with electronics, 6, bringing endless convenience to our lives. We met during a ghoul extermination operation. The undead are hunting humans. The screams reached us while Lion-man and I were browsing the nearby electronics mall. Lion-man's eyes lit up with excitement when he heard the noise. I knew he was battle-hardened, but that commotion sounded like serious business. In the apocalypse, your own safety comes first. Our main objective today is finding a generator. Don't go looking for trouble. The Lion-man hung his head and fell silent. On our way back, we passed by the battlefield, just in time to witness the girl pushing corpses off herself and staggering to her feet. She survived by playing dead. When our eyes met, she was visibly shaken. So shaken she didn't even notice the 2 ghouls feasting on corpses nearby. The mummies instantly stopped feeding at the sound. Their stiff necks creaked as they turned, bearing blood-red maws before lunging at her. The girl stood petrified, frozen in terror. 2 mummies, 1 life, might as well lend a hand. I pulled the knife from my ankle and gave the Lion-man a pat. He understood instantly, charging forward with me on his back. After taking down the mummy, I glanced at her still dazed face. Shaking his head, he turned to leave. I'll save who I can within my power, but whether she makes it in the end depends entirely on herself. He'd barely taken 2 steps when the girl suddenly came running over. Sis, thank you for saving me. I'm Arya, my life is yours now. Your life means nothing to me. I knew that was just an excuse. What she really wanted was to travel with us. Sis, I may not be good at fighting, but I'm an amazing cook. It's been ages since I last heard that term. She seemed to realize something too, awkwardly rubbing the tip of her nose. And that's not all. I can fix appliances too, anything electrical, as long as there's power. Cooking, electrical appliances. I remembered the generator I searched for today, and the broken fan and fridge at home. Can you fix anything? I asked. She nodded vigorously. Yep, I can fix anything. ACs, TVs, washing machines, lamps, fans, microwaves. I gave her a once-over, just so we're clear. If you're lying, I won't hesitate to kick you out. She thumped her chest confidently. Don't worry, sis, I've got this. And just like that, I took her back with me. Gotta admit, that girl's got some real skills. I handle sourcing parts while she does assembly and repairs. You could say we've started a whole new chapter. Later, when forming the alliance, I'd always emphasize this line when recruiting talent. We've got central air conditioning here. But then she died, 3 days before the alliance was established. There was another faction that rivaled my own in strength. Their leader went by the name Archer. I let my guard down and fell into his trap. Just as I was surrounded by ghouls with no backup, Arya arrived. Yes, a girl who'd been terrified by mummies countless times. Despite her timid nature, charged in with explosives without hesitation. The blast was devastating. It wiped out those mummies, and took Arya's life with them. Perhaps this is what they call a death curse. If only she hadn't said, "Give me your life" back then. That very night, I led my team to storm Archer's stronghold. I threw him into the dry well, then tossed one of Arya's identical explosives after him. Arya, you owe me nothing in this lifetime, so you better stay alive for me. Thanks to Opal, she lured all the zombies away from downstairs, but after getting out, I realized I'd overlooked something crucial. We're about 100 kilometers away from Zone 6. In my past life, a Lion-man carried me on his back, and he was crazy fast. We could zip between districts in no time, but now, I glanced at the pale, fragile-looking boy beside me. Fine, I'll have to rely on myself then. We'll probably be walking for 3 or 4 days. First I'll find you some clothes. Then gather more food and water. Oh, and we should stock up on weapons too. Just grab whatever we come across. Surprisingly, Soren didn't respond immediately. I looked at him in confusion as he pressed his lips together, seeming somewhat downcast. What's wrong? I asked. He shook his head. It's nothing, master. Just some sad thoughts. I'll work through them on my own. Why is he putting on such a pitiful act today? Go on. What's the matter this time? Soren came to a halt and spoke slowly. Master must be so disappointed in me. If only I had the build and speed of a lion-man, you wouldn't have to endure walking. You must be missing the lion-man right now. Sigh. I'm really useless, aren't I? I scratched my head. Every orc has their strengths. Sure, lion-men can carry people, but you're easy on the eyes, downright gorgeous actually. He took a step forward and lowered his head, until his face was just a fist's width from mine. Since Master likes my face so much, you're only allowed to look at me from now on, no more staring at other beastmen. Okay, it really hurt my feelings when you kept looking at that lion-man earlier. Alright, I get it. Let's just go already. My face felt strangely warm. I casually agreed to cut the conversation short, pushed his face away and bolted toward the mall like escaping. The mall has 4 floors in total. The basement houses a chain supermarket, while the first floor sells gold jewelry and cosmetics. The second and third floors are clothing stores, with dining options on the top level. Compared to the upper floors, the basement level was noticeably noisier. The blood-stained clothes and gnawed mannequins made it clear a fight had broken out here recently. I found a relatively clean store and had Soren change into fresh clothes quickly, grabbed a few extra just in case. With so many people downstairs attracting zombies, should we still go? He asked. I was just thinking the same thing. But as the saying goes, in for a penny, in for a pound. Besides, we're running dangerously low on food. This essential resource will only become harder to find as time goes on. We've still got several days' journey ahead. Even though going down now is risky, we have no choice. Go on. We need to move quickly. The supermarket was in even worse shape than I'd imagined. Everyone's on a crazy shopping spree. Mommy, why aren't they paying for anything? A little girl looked up and asked her mother. The woman's hands froze while tearing open the instant noodle packet, because now, there are no more rules or order left. But is this really right? The girl pressed. The mother smiled helplessly. It's wrong, but the fault isn't ours. It's this catastrophe, those terrifying monsters. People created rules and order. As long as we keep living, we'll surely see this world restored. She pulled out a flatbread and pressed it into the girl's hands. There you go, sweetheart, eat up. We don't have orcs to carry things for us, so we can't take much. Eat your fill and grow up strong. It wasn't until the mother and daughter disappeared around the grocery aisle that I snapped out of my daze. Though I only survived 2 years in the apocalypse during my past life, but I believed her words. This world will surely return to how it once was. Just as I tossed the last few packs of instant noodles into Soren's space, a commotion suddenly erupted at the doorway. No way, zombies already. I looked up and realized they weren't zombies, but a group of black-clad men swaggering in with machetes. This store belongs to us now. Smart people will drop their stuff and get out, unless you want trouble. One of the black-clad men raised his blade and swung at the nearest woman who was searching through belongings. The woman collapsed to the ground, coughing up blood before falling silent. Mommy, mommy. The girl threw herself onto the woman's corpse, weeping until she nearly fainted. Just moments ago, they were full of life right before my eyes. No, they're worlds apart. That's right. The woman casually cut down by the black-clad figure was that very mother from earlier. Shut the hell up. If you miss her that much, I'll send you to meet your damn mother. The man raised his cleaver again, swinging it toward the girl. I quickly drew my knife and charged at him. The black-clad figure halted mid-motion and turned to face me. Ha! Another fool rushing to die. Guess I'll oblige you first. 7. He spat and charged at me. There's a clear disparity in strength between men and women, but fighting isn't just about brute strength. Without exaggeration, I've slain thousands of zombies in my past life. Just some blustering fool, hardly worth my time. True enough, within 5 seconds I had him pinned beneath my boot. Smiling, I raised the machete I'd wrested from his grasp. You seem to enjoy cutting people down. Let me give it a try today. No sooner had he spoken than I lopped off one of his arms. I nodded. Not bad at all. Let me try again. Then came the other one. The man had already wet himself. Sis, big sis, I was wrong. Spare my life. I swear I'll. Shoo. I pressed my index finger to my lips. I was going to spare you, but you're just too loud. So, go to hell. The blade fell in one swift motion. His lips were sealed forever. The girl stared at me blankly. I knelt before her and gently closed her mother's eyes. Sweetheart, your mother left something unsaid. The reason this world's rules and order are in chaos isn't just disasters and monsters, it's scum like them, /scum, / a familiar voice cut through the air. A man stepped forward from the back of the crowd. With exaggerated elegance, he gave me a theatrical bow. His back remained bent, yet he lifted his head. The corner of his lips curled. You call us scum. But what makes you any better? My heart pounded violently at this moment. As if trying to leap out of my chest, I knew. It was trembling with excitement, with joy. The bastard came knocking on death's door himself, and that man was Archer Sked, slowly straightening his posture. Where are your manners? How rude not to return the greeting. I stood up. Just as I was about to speak, Soren suddenly stepped in front of me, returning the bow. Absolutely not. My master only bows face to face with me. Who do you think you are, and why are you smiling at my master? I might just have to gouge your eyes out, master. Archer turned with amusement to face the group of black-clad men. Did you all hear that? He actually called this woman master? Gouge up my eyes. Hilarious. I'll stare all I want. Come try it. In the blink of an eye, Soren materialized before him. Yeah, I'm here. The next instant, Archer let out a blood-curdling scream and dropped to his knees, clutching his eyes. Blood gushed relentlessly between his fingers. I stared at Soren in shock, not just because of his incredible speed, but because he's an orc who dares raise a hand against humans. I had my suspicions during the skinning, but figured the system didn't punish him because it was just a corpse. But Archer's a living, breathing person. Not only does it have a dedicated interface, but it can also bypass system restrictions. He's far more complex than he appears. Kill them, slaughter them all, Archer roared. Yet not a single soul dared to step forward. In his past life, he'd been just as fond of barking orders. His true motive for building this faction was never about providing shelter for others. It was merely to feed his own delusions of superiority. In that case, I'll let them personally send you to your grave. I jerked my chin toward the door. Soren got the hint and blocked the doorway. I grabbed a fruit knife from the shelf and tossed it at the black-clad men's feet. Now the tables have turned. I pointed at Archer. Stab him once if you value your life. Anywhere will do, then you're free to go. The group exchanged uneasy glances. Then one man raised his hand. Me. Let me do it. This bastard tricked me into joining his crew. The atrocities he's committed deserve death. I don't want to die. I'll stab him first. Once someone takes the first step in matters like this, others will inevitably follow suit. Archer tried to dodge, but without his eyes, he stood no chance of avoiding it. His continuous screams filled me with immense satisfaction. As time passed, his voice grew fainter and fainter. We've never had any grievances. Why would you do this to me? In my past life, I'd asked those very words when he framed me. What did he say back then? Oh right, he said, because I damn well please. I threw his exact words right back at him. Master, stop chatting with him. It's time we left. Soren approached. Time to go. The stench of blood is so strong here. The ghouls will be upon us any moment. As for Archer, who's barely hanging on, he'll soon become ghoul chow. Everyone. Ghouls are coming. We need to leave now. I've said my piece, whether they listen is up to them. Before leaving, I glanced at the little girl. I wasn't in any position to care for her, as the road ahead wasn't going to be smooth for me, though I noticed a middle-aged woman with salt and pepper hair had joined her side. Little one, I've lost my daughter too. If you'd like, come home with me. Calamity magnifies malice, but kindness is the light that illuminates the human heart. Soren and I traveled onward with many stops along the way. Raiding supermarkets for food, scavenging hardware stores for tools. Of course, I didn't hesitate to stockpile other miscellaneous supplies either. 8. By the time we reached Sone, nearly a week had passed. During that time, I completed several more missions and earned 120 skill points. Master, I think my inventory only has a few hundred slots left before it's full, he said. Almost full. Guess it's time for an upgrade then. I pulled out 30 points and invested them in the storage attribute bar. The capacity just increased 30-fold. You're amazing, Master, he praised with a smile, but after these days together, I'd realized his smile never reached his eyes. It was only skin deep, so he wasn't surprised by this change. Last time when his tail transformed into legs, he simply asked me to fetch pants, not a trace of surprise on his face, which means everything was unfolding exactly as he'd anticipated. Come to think of it, the completion of previous missions and point allocations. Mostly tied to his overt and covert guidance. What other secrets is he still hiding from me? Just then, a scream pierced through the air nearby. I scanned the surrounding buildings. It suddenly hit me. We were standing near the very spot where I first met Arya. With the Lion-man's help in my past life, I reached the resource-rich Sone by the 5th day of the apocalypse. This lifetime has been nothing but constant travel, making me gradually lose track of time. I gaze at the sky. A cloudless expanse of azure. Sis, when you charged in on that lion and took down the mummy with a single strike, you looked like a total warrior goddess. I loved the weather that day, crystal clear skies without a single cloud, but I loved even more how you glowed in the sunlight. Arya's words echoed clearly in my mind. Wait, the mummy ambush is happening today. Soren, get out of here. The situation looked peculiar when we arrived. The expected battle scene never materialized, though numerous. The mummies merely formed a tightening circle without attacking. Inside the circle, men stood with axes raised, shielding the elderly, women, and children behind them. I quickly scanned the area but couldn't spot Arya anywhere. You promised we'd be spared if we handed over the water. 11 AOHU bot circled greater than anti-piracy stamp circled greater than bookfinder bot heavy checkmark the reliable choice. Guaranteed satisfaction, you heartless bastard, taking the goods but leaving me to die, you thieving scum, I'll haunt you from my grave. They glared resentfully toward the upper left, water crossing, protection needed. I followed the crowd's gaze. There stood a small art gallery. About a dozen people stood on the art museum's rooftop terrace. At the center stood familiar faces, Opal and the Lion-man. Opal let out 2 mocking laughs. You fools actually thought I'd save you, with all those mummies around, if my precious Lion-man gets hurt. Could you even take responsibility? Well, we've got the water now? We can live comfortably for a few more days. I'd say your deaths were worth it. Opal, you're becoming utterly shameless. I spoke up. Sage, how did you— Wait, who's that? She pointed in shock at Soren standing beside me. You've got a selective memory, haven't you? He's my merman. Don't you remember? A merman? Impossible. How can he follow you out here? And what's with his legs? She leapt down from the Lion-man's back, landing right in front of me. The others came running over too. What's it to you? I shot her a cold glare. The gathering crowd made the mummies split into 2 groups, closing in on our position. Give them back their water, I said. Give back? Since when did you become such a busybody, Sage? Besides, do you still think I'm the same Opal who cowered under your threats? Never mind about the leg. It doesn't matter now. You won't live to see tomorrow anyway. With that, she threw a meaningful glance over her shoulder as several figures stepped forward. Opal leaned lazily against the Lion-man. Kill her. Let's give the mummies some appetizers. Yes, you're dead. I cracked my knuckles and lunged forward, slitting one attacker's throat before they could react. The battle erupted in an instant. The scent of blood drew more walking corpses toward them. 9, especially those surrounding the group nearby. Kill those bandits. Take back our water. A girl shouted. My body froze. That voice. It's Arya. No wonder I didn't spot her earlier. She was crouching in the very back of the crowd. What a clever little rascal. A momentary hesitation left my arm slashed open. The sting of pain felt strangely nostalgic. I swiftly zeroed in on my target, driving the blade straight through the bastard's heart. Got it. Stabbing here works much better than the arm. Her eyes widened as she collapsed to the ground. Arya's words had just given everyone a major morale boost. They broke through the encirclement and charged toward Opal. Though the Lion-man possesses formidable combat skills, beast folk are incapable of initiating attacks against humans, Soren being the obvious exception. Knowing she couldn't fight them all alone, she gave the Lion-man a pat and bolted. Soren, I shouted at the top of my lungs. The next second, he stepped in front of Opal. Within moments, I'd taken care of those guys. Opal's last remaining teammate tried to run, but hordes of withered corpses blocked their path. I ambled over slowly. Truth be told, I could end Opal right now, but I won't. She hasn't experienced the horror of the Lion-man yet. Dying like this would be letting her off too easy. In my past life, the Lion-man's combat prowess truly brought me many advantages, but then, it changed. It shifted from eating normal food to consuming mummified corpses, then came human remains, then it was my turn. I realized this because it kept licking my wrists and neck while I slept during that period. I woke with a start to see it baring its fangs, lunging for my throat, but the moment its teeth grazed my skin, the system punished it, leaving the creature writhing in agony on the floor. I've brushed with death countless times. I locked it away, then it began starving itself. Its weakness started draining my life force, but that was right at the dawn of the Alliance's formation. To present a more appealing front for recruiting talent, I had to slit my wrist and offer him the first bowl of blood. Give them an inch, they'll take a mile. The torment drove me to the brink of madness, tried every possible solution, but nothing worked. Then I ended up getting poisoned. My thoughts snapped back to the present. Just 2 weeks into the apocalypse, Opal was already using her Lion-man strength to seize water resources. The methods were utterly disgraceful. She doesn't have to die, but I won't let her live comfortably either. I'll deal with her. As for the Lion-man, I opened the attributes panel, allocated 60 skill points to Soren's combat stats. The next instant, a set of black armor materialized on Soren's body. What the— how is this possible? Where did that armor come from? Opal was stunned once more. He's nothing but a useless deadweight. In this second life, I chose the Lionheart. I should be the rightful champion. How did he become so powerful after following you? Why does everything always go your way? This isn't fair. It just isn't. Today, I'll make sure you die. Lion-man, kill that merman for me. Slay him. The Lion-man shook his mane and launched his attack upon hearing the command. Opal drew a dagger from her left sleeve and lunged at me. How naive she is. Those supposedly skilled fighters couldn't even take me down. What makes her think she stands a chance? I chopped her forearm with my palm, knocking the blade from her grip. My hand slid up her arm, seized her shoulder, and wrenched it hard. She screamed as her arm went limp and dropped uselessly. Hand over their water. Opal sneered. Sage. Do you really think you're some savior? You can protect one? But can you protect thousands? This is the apocalypse. The weak only waste resources by staying alive. Don't they owe me their water? The sooner they die, the more supplies the strong will have, becoming stepping stones. That's the best fate they could hope for. I never considered myself a savior, nor did I intend to save everyone. But you're the last person qualified to dictate others' lives. With those words, I snapped her neck. I take back what I just said. Someone like Opal can't be allowed to stay. After all, Leo's transformation is still nearly 2 years away. 2 years is enough time for anything to happen. Keeping her around just to satisfy my petty revenge would only let her harm others. I don't think this is right. Orcs and humans share the same fate. After Opal died, I turned to look at the Lion-man. It lay bloodied on the ground, breathless. Soren emerged completely unscathed. Come on, let's go help. I waved to Soren. Meanwhile, the others were still locked in combat with the mummified corpses, but before joining the fight, I dashed over to Arya first. I noticed earlier that she kept stealing glances at me. Sis, you took down that bandit. You're amazing, she exclaimed excitedly. Sis, I finally heard her call me that again. How nice, I said. Big sis needs to ask you a favor. A favor, me. I nodded and placed the intentionally broken chainsaw in front of her. I think my sister's chainsaw is broken. I'm new here and don't know my way around. Could you help me find someone to fix it? Her face lit up instantly. I can fix that. It's easy. I'll have it working in no time. Watching her focus so intently, I fought back tears. There, she handed me the chainsaw. I patted her head. You're amazing. This helps me so much. I stood up. Stay hidden, sweetheart. Big sis is going to wipe out these disgusting things with this chainsaw. I own the world, even while sawing through the mummy. I stole a glance at Soren. He's ferocious and lightning fast. He can take down a whole crowd in mere seconds. He's become incredibly powerful now. With the Lion-man as precedent, if Soren maxes out all 3 attributes, would he still obediently remain my orc? Or more importantly, would I even survive to see that day? Within minutes, all the desiccated corpses had been eliminated, though casualties were heavy. It was still far better than my previous life. Arya trotted over. Sis, you're so cool. Could I maybe? You're really good at fixing things too. I cut her off before she could finish. I'm forming an alliance. Will you be my first teammate? Really? Can I? She exclaimed with joy. I nodded. Absolutely, if you're willing. Yes, I'd love to. Forming an alliance. Can I join? A guy nearby spoke up. Count me in, girl. You were badass back there. And this handsome dude, damn, I was blown away. Sign me up. You got our water back. You're good people. Me too. Me too. Everyone started chattering and crowding around. I really didn't see this coming. Anyone who's willing can join us. But this is just a rough idea for now. Base locations, resource allocation, none of that's been figured out yet. The early days might be tough. It's the apocalypse. Who's afraid of hardship now? Exactly. Everything starts from scratch. Just imagine how amazing it'll be building this alliance together. Looking at these faces brimming with passion and fighting spirit, an inexplicable surge of emotion welled up in my heart. I sniffled. What are we waiting for? Let's go scout for our base first. My old hideout location wasn't bad either, but that was 2 years later. Both the architecture and the ghouls' behavior patterns were different back then. So I still think it depends on the situation. Got it. The group responded enthusiastically, marched toward the sunlight. I was walking at the very back, with Soren right beside me. After much contemplation, I finally voiced the question weighing on my mind. Soren, would you ever betray me? He paused mid-step and placed his hand over mine. As long as my master doesn't abandon me, Soren shall remain the finest blade in your service. I looked him straight in the eye. 11. What if I walk away? Would you kill me? He shook his head. You wouldn't. I probed cautiously. What I mean is, there are no ifs. The orc system is eternal. Once bonded, not even death can sever the tie. Soren stepped closer, resting his forehead against mine with tender devotion. So master, you can never abandon me. We're bound to be entwined, through endless lifetimes, without death or cessation. His words left me utterly stunned, unable to recover for the longest time. I merely voiced the question lingering in my heart. Yet he laid bare everything without reservation, for all eternity. But last time, that was an accident. His expression turned cold. The system malfunctioned, dragging us into the scorching apocalypse. But it doesn't matter now, because the correction's been made. Consider this lifetime as his compensation to us. What's more, this place showed me a side of you I'd never seen before. Decisive, brave, kind. So I don't blame fate for this twist. Everything happens for a reason. My mind is a mess. Why are you telling me this all of a sudden? He hugged me with a smile, resting his head on my shoulder. Because I have a mouth. I don't want you to misunderstand me, nor do I want any distance between us. His words burned so intensely they left me parched. Got it. Well then, give it your best shot. Go get him. Hey Arya, there's something I need to tell you. It's about. I broke free from his embrace and stumbled forward in panic. 1 year later. The alliance was officially established. The progress is twice as fast as my previous life. My relationship with Soren grew increasingly intimate through our time together, but his exclusive mission always remained one step from completion. What could it possibly be? I glanced at him lounging leisurely beside me. You really don't know. You're not lying to me. Soren's gaze was utterly sincere. Master, you've asked me 100 times already. I truly don't know. I don't believe you. He sighed and walked over helplessly. Opal spread her arms, her eyes gleaming with a touch of madness. Go you, because I like maxing out my scale bars. Seeing each one just 2 or 3 points short is driving me crazy. Are you really that desperate for these 10 points? So you do know. Spit it out. What is it? I demanded, hands on my hips. He suddenly stepped closer, his gaze unreadable. My mission concerns me, obviously. Think hard. What's left unfinished? Unfinished. We've been inseparable this whole year, done everything together. Is there really anything left we haven't tried, haven't done? My face instantly flushed crimson. Soren leaned in closer. So master, ready to unlock that final quest? I swallowed hard. My first instinct was to run, but then I saw the hope in his eyes. It suddenly hit me. Every time he'd expressed his love this past year, I'd been running away. Desertion is never honorable. Speak your mind before it's too late. Love demands courage and expression. With that, I smiled quietly to myself. She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. Story 2. After the National College entrance exams, our family went on a vacation to the beach. My sister forgot to bring her favorite swimsuit and insisted that I drive 2 hours back home to fetch it for her. I refused, and in response, my dad slapped me hard enough to draw blood. My mom scolded me for not reminding my sister, which led to her forgetting the swimsuit, and insisted that I had to go back and get it. Feeling utterly wronged and heartbroken, I broke down crying. My parents, annoyed by my distress, locked me in the vacation apartment to reflect on my behavior. When a massive tsunami hit, I had no way to escape and was swallowed alive by the waves. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the moment my sister was pressuring me to go home for her swimsuit. This time, I simply nodded in agreement. I'll go back and get it. Have fun at the beach. Rebecca, hurry back home and get my swimsuit, the blue one. I want to wear it for a swim. A familiar and demanding voice jolted me awake. I trembled all over and stared in shock at my sister Ray. She was irritably tugging at her hair, standing over her messy suitcase, having searched everywhere for the blue swimsuit she had bought specifically for the beach. Our parents tried to help find it, but to no avail. They consoled Ray and urged me to go back home to retrieve the swimsuit to prevent her from crying. I turned my head in horror to look at the calm, blue sea, feeling a painful prickling on my skin and difficulty breathing, as if a giant hand was clutching my heart and lungs. Downstairs, a girl sitting on her father's shoulders was cheerfully exclaiming how beautiful the sea was. It all felt too familiar. I had been reborn. Reborn to the day we came to the beach for a vacation. And reborn 4 hours before the arrival of a 100-meter-high tsunami. We had just entered the vacation apartment 10 minutes ago when Ray started pressuring me to go home for her swimsuit. I get carsick. I had already thrown up twice on the way here. Now, if I had to take a taxi back alone, it would be a torturous 4-hour round trip. In my past life, I had refused, mentioning my carsickness and suggesting we just buy any swimsuit from a roadside stall, as they were everywhere, after all. My own swimsuit, which was bought from a roadside stall, cost only 20 yuan, but then I faced a barrage of criticism from my parents. Can you even wear those roadside swimsuits? What if your sister is allergic, as her older sister? Why can't you help her out? I think you just want to play, always in a rush to go into the water. You're so grown up yet you understand nothing. They scolded. They habitually criticized me, comparing me unfavorably with my sister, for example. They said my sister was delicate and cute, whereas I was dull and introverted. She was eloquent, and I was silent and reserved. I just pursed my lips and said nothing. Look at you, acting dead again. No wonder you only got into a community college. Your sister will definitely get into a top university. She's the future talent. And you, what good is a community college? Running errands is all you're good for, and you're not even happy about that. My dad continued, his words getting harsher. He always hated it when I stayed silent, so the scolding became even more virulent. He had completely forgotten why I ended up in community college in the first place, or rather, he hadn't forgotten. It was he who had been hospitalized from drinking on the eve of my college entrance exams, while my mom and sister, claiming they were too tired, left me, the one about to take the exams, to take care of him. I was severely sleep deprived and performed poorly on the exams, only managing to get into a community college. My family wouldn't allow me to retake the exams, hoping I would quickly finish community college and start working to earn money. The whole family remembered this, but they all felt it was justified. As long as my sister got into a good university, that was all that mattered. As long as my sister was happy, that was enough. For example, after my sister finished her exams, she wanted to go to the beach for a vacation, and my parents immediately took her there. Even I benefited from this rare family outing. This was the first time in 19 years that my family had taken me along on a trip, but almost all the luggage I had to carry, and then, I still need to take a 2-hour drive back to get my swimsuit. Rebecca, are you deaf? I asked you to go home and get my swimsuit. Ray snapped at me when she noticed I was zoning out. My thoughts snapped back to the present, a chill still clinging to my skin as I instinctively moved away from the window. It was as if the calm, peaceful sea had transformed into a ferocious, clawing demon. Who could have imagined that just 4 hours later, a terrifying tsunami would surge from the depths of the ocean straight toward the land, obliterating everything in its path? Rebecca, it's all your fault for not reminding your sister. Would she have forgotten otherwise? Hurry up and go get it, my mom scolded, glaring at me angrily. I took a deep breath, trying to shake off the tremors of fear about the tsunami. I stared at my mom, thinking, why should I remind Ray? I didn't even know she would forget, and why was it my responsibility anyway? In a past life, I talked back to my mom, and suddenly my dad exploded, slapping me so hard I fell to the ground. Just go back and get it, and stop your backtalk. Can't you see your sister is upset? My dad yelled at me, completely indifferent to the blood streaming from my lip. That slap was the breaking point for me. For 19 years, I couldn't understand what I had done wrong, or why my family treated me this way, so I couldn't help but sob uncontrollably, crying so hard I nearly passed out. Ray, even more annoyed, stormed downstairs. She went off to have fun, leaving me to finish crying and then go home to get the swimsuit. She was planning to stay at the beach for 3 days and 2 nights, and if she couldn't wear it today, she needed it by tomorrow. My parents, looking sullen, kicked me a few times before locking me in my room, forbidding me to leave. Crying won't help. Reflect on yourself. You can come out when you're ready to go get the swimsuit. They scoffed as they left, locking the door behind them. It was as if I was just a piece of luggage, just tossed aside in the room. I curled up in the apartment, utterly heartbroken, my shoulders trembling uncontrollably. By evening, the calm sea suddenly turned turbulent, the tide boiling over like a pot of explosive water, sweeping everything in its path. When I realized what was happening, 100-meter-high waves, like demonic forces, charged toward the shore. I screamed in terror, desperately trying to twist the door open to escape, but it wouldn't budge. I could only rush to the window and scream for help, only to see my parents and sister speeding away in their car. I clearly saw them glance at me before they got into the car. Despite being just 3 floors away, they saw me, but they didn't look back, disappearing in the blink of an eye. I died under that apocalyptic tsunami. Rebecca, are you mute? I'm asking you one last time. Will you go back and get my swimsuit? Ray demanded for the 3rd time, completely losing her temper, her face red with anger, because I had remained silent. My dad also lost his temper, raising his hand to hit me. The scene from a past life was about to repeat itself. I would be beaten and then locked in the apartment, left to die. I quickly shifted to the side, forcing a smile. Ray, don't be mad. You're the star of this vacation, and your big sister will do whatever you say. I looked at my dad. Dad, shall I bring a bottle of Matai too? You can enjoy it with the seafood tonight. My dad's hand paused midair, his anger visibly subsiding a bit. That's better. Hurry back now. It's a 4-hour round trip, and by the time you return, it will still be light out, giving you plenty of time to enjoy yourself. My dad withdrew his hand and looked at Ray. Don't be upset, Ray. I'll take you on a jet ski ride later. I also want to ride in a helicopter and take some photos, Ray requested. I knew about the helicopter rides over the sea. They cost 800 yuan for 10 minutes. If I had dared to ask for such a thing, my dad would have kicked me. But he agreed to Ray's request immediately. My mom gave a thumbs up with a big smile. Ray is really brave, daring to ride in a helicopter. Ray looked at me with a smug expression. She was flaunting the favoritism she received. All I ever got from childhood was scolding and beatings. My heart twisted in pain, but I quickly became utterly indifferent. To someone who had died once, what was this trivial favoritism? Mom, Dad, Sis, you guys stay and enjoy the beach. I'm going back to get my swimsuit. I left obediently. Mom, Dad, and Sis were satisfied, waiting for me to return in 4 hours, but they didn't know that in 4 hours, the tide would eerily recede, and then return with a towering force. It could be a marine earthquake or perhaps an underwater volcanic eruption. In any case, an unprecedented tsunami was about to sweep over the entire resort. I clearly remember The waves were taller than our apartment hotel, at least 100 meters high. And a 100-meter tsunami is rare in human history. The 2004 Indonesian tsunami that shocked the world affected 14 countries and caused more than 270,000 deaths and disappearances, and its highest point was only 51 meters. Though terrain and altitude greatly influence a tsunami's impact, the same tsunami might not cause the same damage in a different area. But the incoming tsunami was 100 meters high, even though our city of A was elevated, with many mountains and dense forests. This 100-meter tsunami, I dared not think further. As images of a hellish disaster began to form in my mind, I became anxious, wondering how I could survive in 4 hours. In my previous life, I had witnessed a tsunami, that terrifying 100-meter-high giant wave. So, I had to prepare for the worst, assuming that the entire A and nearby coastal cities would be affected. In theory, if I could get on a plane and fly thousands of miles away, I wouldn't have to worry about anything, but obviously, there wasn't enough time now. It would even be difficult to escape A, as today was the second day after the college entrance exams, and the roads were packed with cars. We had been stuck in traffic when we arrived. Under these circumstances, it would be a miracle if I could even make it home in 2 hours, so escape wasn't the only option. I needed to think about how to seek refuge nearby. High-rise buildings might seem like a good choice, but I immediately dismissed the idea. Under such a cataclysmic tsunami, all structures would seem ludicrously fragile, and even tall buildings could collapse at any moment. Therefore, the shelter had to be both sturdy and elevated. Then, the mountains, to the east of A. The Fisherwoman Peak Scenic Area, with an elevation of 400 meters, had well-developed infrastructure and a Taoist temple where one could take refuge. I had volunteered there before and was quite familiar with the area. Moreover, it was only a 40-minute drive away, and I could take the highway. Now at 2 in the afternoon, if I reached the vicinity of Fisherwoman Peak, I would still have time to stock up on supplies to take up the mountain. That was the plan, with my mind made up. I reached the ground floor. I was just about to call a cab when suddenly I noticed a renovation worker walking by, carrying a large bag full of tools. The tool bag was brimming with nails. I called out to him and spent 10 yuan to buy a pack of nails. Then, I headed to the ground parking lot and found my car, making sure no one was around. I spread the nails under all 4 tires, points facing up. The moment the car starts, the tires would surely puncture. The image of my family running around in panic as the car rapidly deflates was too delightful to imagine. With the dust off of my hands, I hurried on my way. I needed to rush to Fisherwoman's Peak to stock up on supplies. On the expressway, my cab sped along. I had hoped the traffic would be smoother, but it was just as congested as ever. What usually was a 40-minute ride took an hour and a half this time. Feeling anxious, I could only pray we would move faster. After exiting the expressway, it was just a 5-minute drive to Fisherwoman's Peak. Relieved, I checked the time, 3:35 p.m. I remembered that the tsunami was expected around 6 in the evening. I had 2.5 hours to prepare. I didn't need much, just enough food and drink to last a week. After all, tsunamis come and go quickly. I just needed to survive the initial wave and then wait for national rescue efforts. It's a reluctant choice. Really, if possible, who wouldn't want to hoard more supplies just in case, but alone? With little time and strength, carrying a week's supplies up the mountain was already pushing my limits. As I pondered, the cab passed through a residential area and I got out immediately, heading straight for the local supermarket. I bought a large bag of goods like canned meat, dried jerky, and compressed biscuits, items small in size but filling. Then, I filled a carry bag with self-heating meals, spicy fish, cured meat, dried sweet potatoes, and nuts. But I couldn't carry too much of these bulkier items. Finally, I stopped by a nearby pharmacy and picked up some common medications like ibuprofen, amoxicillin, and Xiaochaihu. Now, with a pack on my back and 2 bags in hand, I felt the strain on my back, but these supplies would last me a long time, certainly more than a week if I conserved. For water, I only bought 3 bottles because they were too heavy and I knew there was a natural waterfall on Fisherwoman's Peak, so I wouldn't lack water. After checking my supplies, I called another cab and headed straight for Fisherwoman's Peak. At this moment, it was 4:36 p.m., with 1 hour and 24 minutes to go before the tsunami. Then Ray called me. I answered, and she immediately ordered, "Are you home yet? Remember to bring my sun hat, the white one. If you're already out, turn back now. You must bring the sun hat." Listening to Ray's commanding tone on the phone, I couldn't help but laugh out of frustration. She had treated me like a servant for over a decade. I was used to attending to her every need, always treading lightly to avoid her wrath. Had I not already died once, I would still be afraid. Unfortunately for Ray, she could no longer scare me. Of course, I didn't snap back at her because there was still over an hour until the tsunami. If I angered Ray, given her volatile nature, She might lose interest in whatever she was planning. They would even rush home immediately to clean up after me. With that, the chances of their family of 3 escaping would be greatly increased. All right, Ray, I'll go back now to get your hat. It might take a bit longer to get back to the beach. I obediently complied. Ray couldn't help but sneer. I love this humble side of you. Keep it up. Beside her, my mom also spoke up. Rebecca, since you're making the trip anyway, bring my makeup too. I wanted to bring it earlier, but it was too much hassle. I sneered inwardly, but agreed aloud. Okay, Mom. Wait for me, that's right, be sensible, it makes everyone happy, my dad chimed in, rarely praising me. I still sneered. After hanging up the phone, the car arrived at the Fishwoman Peak scenic area. I didn't get off at the main entrance, but at the west side door. There was a staff passage here, which I used to take up the mountain when I volunteered. Looking up at the towering Fishwoman Peak, I felt a strong sense of security. There was no safer place than here. I took a deep breath and headed straight up the mountain with the supplies. The uncle in the guardhouse was napping, completely unaware of anyone going up the mountain. It was probably because it was too hot recently, with temperatures at least 30 degrees. Under these conditions, only a fool would climb the mountain in broad daylight. Thus, I didn't see any tourists on my way up. There definitely were tourists, but they would be at the main entrance. I was panting heavily, stopping every 10 steps. And by the end, I was nearly dizzy and blurred in vision, but I finally made it halfway up the mountain. There was a square here, and a cable car. Though there were hardly any tourists, the cable cars and aerial tramways were operating. I successfully boarded the cable car, wiping sweat and checking the time on my phone. It was 5:26 p.m., with 34 minutes left until the tsunami. The sun was still fierce, and there was no wind on the mountain, showing no signs of the impending tsunami. But my heartbeat accelerated, the apocalyptic feeling from my past life enveloping me, causing me to shudder. I closed my eyes and took deep breaths, feeling the mountain breeze as the cable car moved, and I faintly smelled something unusual in the air. The tsunami might have already formed in the deep sea. Just not reached here yet. By 5:47 p.m., after following the cable car around the scenic spot, I finally reached the mountain top. What caught my eye was the ancient-looking Taoist temple, the air boiling under the direct sunlight, hence still no sign of people. I had no time to look for others and headed straight into a side hall. Inside, one could pray to the gods. During my part-time job, I had dusted the statues here. After praying briefly, I sat down, feeling dizzy and weak in my limbs. I was too tired and too hot. Fortunately, everything went smoothly, and I was sitting in a Taoist temple at an altitude of 200 meters, absolutely safe. It was now 5:52 p.m., 8 minutes to the tsunami. I twisted open a bottle of mineral water and started drinking. When Ray's call came again, as soon as the call connected, Ray burst out, "Did you break your legs? Why aren't you back yet? I need to wear my swimsuit and hat for photos in the sea. I'm dying here," my parents also urged from beside her. "The sunset is almost here, hurry back, we need to take pictures of your sister." My lips curled into a cold smile. Sunset, taking photos, you're about to die soon. I have no more concerns and reply with a sense of release. I'm not going back to the beach, I'm staying home and enjoying the air conditioning. What? Ray was stunned and then burst into a tirade. "Rebecca, are you playing me? If you're not coming back, who's going to get my swimsuit and hat? Are you disabled? Do I have to pick up everything for you? You're 18 years old and still act like a child with a developmental delay. I'm talking about your brain." Ray was clearly confused, and there was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. Then I heard Ray's roar. "Rebecca, what did you say? Are you calling me disabled? Are you saying I'm brainless?" Her shout shocked our parents next to her. My dad grabbed the phone, his voice menacing. "Rebecca, how dare you insult your sister? Have you lost your mind?" And my mom's voice squeezed through. "Rebecca, what did you say about your sister? Say it again." "Sister is disabled, mentally challenged, disabled, mentally challenged, disabled, mentally challenged." I repeated it many times. "You, Rebecca," my mom broke down on the spot. Her cherished baby, pampered for 18 years, who has ever been insulted like this, especially by the least favored slave of the family. My dad bellowed, "Rebecca, you wait. I'm going to chop you up and feed you to the dogs." Click. I hung up the phone, refusing to listen. I waited for the last 3 minutes. It's 5:57 now. During the final 3 minutes, since I wasn't answering the phone, my family shifted the battlefield to the WeChat group to curse me. There were loads of texts and voice messages, but I ignored them, just watching the clock. 1 more minute to go. At this point, Ray completely broke down. She stopped cursing and instead started posting numerous photos in the group, selfies at the beach and by the sea. She tagged me in each one. At "Rebecca, you're really pathetic. Why can I play at the beach while you have to roll back home?" At "Rebecca, you really had the guts today. I'm impressed. Too bad the whole family hates you and wants to kill you." I've never been beaten up since I was a child. At Rebecca, come out, get to the resort right now. I'm going to tear your foul mouth apart. I felt like laughing, it was too funny. There was 1 minute left until the apocalyptic tsunami, and I was leisurely sitting in the safest shelter with a pile of supplies, while Ray was breaking down at the beach, causing a scene like a shrew. I almost felt sorry for her, so I comforted her. At Ray, baby, you've been cursing for so long, aren't you thirsty? Drink some seawater if you are. After all, the seawater was about to recede, and soon it would be too late. The next second, at 6 in the evening. The setting sun suddenly darkened. Suddenly, there was silence in the group. Ray stopped cursing. My heart inexplicably lifted. Perhaps the seawater had eerily receded, so my family was too preoccupied to curse at me. Unexpectedly, my dad suddenly messaged me, Rebecca, did you run off to Fisherwoman's Peak? I was wondering why you hadn't come back for so long. Are you sick, climbing mountains in this scorching heat? I frowned. How did he know? The next moment, a video call from my dad came through. I decided to answer it, partly out of curiosity and partly wanting to witness the tsunami. As the video connected, I saw my parents and sister sitting under a sun umbrella, still enjoying the gentle sea breeze. Hasn't the tsunami arrived yet? A tightness gripped my heart. Could it be that having lived another life, the timeline had changed? Rebecca, why did you run off to Fisherwoman's Peak? If I hadn't secretly set a tracker on your phone, we would never have caught you. My mom scolded as soon as she spoke. I immediately realized she could track my phone. Rebecca, so you went hiking? Only a crazy person would hike in such hot weather. Ray wasn't even angry anymore and continued to mock. I get it. You were upset by our scolding and had to go off by yourself to play somewhere else. But of all places, you chose the hottest, Fisherwoman's Peak. I remained silent, observing the distant sea through the screen. The sea was still azure and calm, shimmering in the light. Could it be there really wasn't a tsunami? Got nothing to say again. You think by hiding on the mountain I'll leave you be? I'm telling you, when I get home, I'm going to break your legs, my dad said fiercely, his face full of wrath. I had no doubt he would really hurt me. Still, I said nothing, just stared at the sea, my heart tightening more and more. Finally, at 6:04 a.m., the water began to stir strangely and then quickly started to recede. Seeing this, I relaxed and couldn't help but smile. The timeline hadn't changed, it was just that I couldn't pinpoint the exact time. My dear sister, you can still smile. Dad's going to kill you, Ray sneered, but she was cut off, because the beach erupted into chaos. Many people exclaimed in shock, what the heck, where's the water? My dad turned to look, his eyebrows knotted in confusion. Yeah, where is the water? I'll go have a look. He handed the phone to my mom. She took it, equally perplexed. No one paid any attention to me anymore, and the video call was left running. Ray suddenly exclaimed, I've read about this in textbooks. Could it be a tsunami? Ray guessed right. It was a tsunami, but having never seen one in reality, she didn't immediately run but just stood there dumbfounded, even taking photos. Ahead, some lifeguards were waving their hands and shouting, move back, run. This command run woke many of the tourists, who began to sprint away. People followed the crowd. Once some started running, the others followed. The beach was in complete disarray. My dad rushed back, grabbing Ray. Run. A lot of people are saying it's a tsunami. My mom, terrified, clutched the phone and ran as well. I saw a flurry of shaky and blurred images, mostly of the chaotic crowd. I sighed internally. These people wouldn't be able to escape, unless they were incredibly lucky and could outrun the tsunami by car. They were doomed, but with the heavy traffic and so many people around, who could outrun a tsunami? After all, when there's no traffic, almost no one can outrun a tsunami. As I pondered, my parents and sister rushed to the ground parking lot. Meanwhile, I heard a tremendous and shocking sound. It was the roar of the ocean. Oh my God, the sea. Look, my mom, trembling with fear, pointed towards the ocean. My dad's voice also trembled. It's so high. Get in the car, quick, Dad. Let me get in first, Ray cried out, scrambling into the car. The three of them frantically dove into the car like panicked fish. As my phone shook, I finally saw the tsunami. 100-meter high wave surged from the horizon. Like an endless dragon, the sea was no longer azure but turned dark gray. Like hellish plasma, raging ceaselessly, countless screams and cries echoed in the storm brought by the tsunami, with large crowds falling and being trampled in the chaos, a dire scene of devastation. With a thunderous noise, the car started, and my dad frantically stepped on the accelerator. The car shot forward but was immediately blocked. The ground parking lot was in utter chaos, with hundreds of vehicles scrambling to escape. Where was there room to maneuver? Hit them, Dad Smash through the cars in front, Ray shouted, trembling. Without a word, my dad suddenly accelerated. I only heard a loud bang, and it seemed like the car in front was pushed aside, but someone screamed, "Are you crazy? Why are you hitting us? My wife is pregnant." "Oh, my wife? Get out of the way," Ray cursed as my dad continued to ram forward. Luckily, his car was originally parked near the exit. Despite hitting many cars and people, he miraculously made it onto the main road. "We're out. Speed up, hold on tight," my dad roared, pressing the accelerator to the floor. No longer caring if he might hit someone, Ray turned to look at the sea and screamed in horror, "Hurry up, it's reaching the shore." The tsunami was too fast. The 100-meter wave crashing onto the land was terrifying. "I'm going as fast as I can. Don't be afraid, Dad's here," my dad said through gritted teeth. But the next second, he screamed as if he'd seen a ghost. "What's going on? All 4 tires are losing air." I couldn't help but laugh. My dad had rushed too hastily, completely neglecting the warning lights on the dashboard. It wasn't until he reached the main road that he realized something was wrong. "Why were all 4 tires losing air?" My mom, shivering, spoke up. "Honey, stop joking. Hurry up. Why are you slowing down? How can I rush? All the air's gone." My dad tried to accelerate, but the car just got slower and slower. Moreover, the road was increasingly obstructed by debris. Tourists' abandoned luggage, and tree leaves blown onto the road by the strong winds, all impeding the car. If the tires had air, we could have pushed through, but without air, it was easy to get blocked by obstacles. Ray, panicking, reached up to grab the steering wheel. "Hurry up. Do you even know how to drive?" In her desperation, she twisted the wheel, and the car swerved and crashed into a coconut tree, throwing the 3 of us forward, nearly vomiting our last meal. "Ray, are you crazy?" My dad was furious, trying to reverse, but the car only groaned mournfully. He made a split-second decision to get out of the car, urging everyone out, quickly. I don't want to. I'm scared." Ray burst into tears. My mom forcefully pulled her out of the car and asked my dad what to do. "Stop the car, stop the car," my dad yelled, spreading his arms to halt a car. "Help, help, take us with you." The road was in complete chaos, with cars speeding past one after another. None of them even thinking of stopping. I was watching it all, thoroughly entertained. Wasn't this more thrilling than Hollywood? Sitting cross-legged, I was drinking water and munching on spicy fish. In the shaky scene, finally, a car came straight toward us. My dad was overjoyed. "Brother, stop for a moment." My mom also stepped forward to stop the car, pleading for it to halt. But instead of stopping, the car sped up, and the driver leaned out and cursed loudly. "Damn you. You caused my wife to have a miscarriage." It turned out he was the car owner who had been hit earlier in the parking lot. My dad's face turned pale, and he quickly dodged. My mom wasn't quick enough to avoid it and ended up getting hit, breaking her right leg and falling to the ground in pain. The phone finally hit the ground, the camera pointing up at the sky. I could hear my mom crying out in pain. "It hurts. Husband, save me. Please save me." My dad rushed over, his lips trembling. "Is your leg broken, Ray? Help your mom." Ray immediately objected. "No, Dad, let's run. The tsunami is coming. Forget about Mom." "What are you saying, Ray?" my mom exclaimed in shock. Ray was ruthless. "Your leg is broken. How can we save you? It's your fault for not avoiding it. My mom probably never dreamed her beloved daughter would say such things to her. Time waits for no one." My dad quickly made a decision. He picked up Ray and, without looking back, rushed toward a nearby building. Meanwhile, the sound of the tsunami grew more terrifying, like a monstrous beast closing in. I was so scared that I couldn't even eat my spicy fish. But then I thought, I'm up on a mountain, what's there to be afraid of? So I continued to enjoy my meal. The next moment, the camera turned to reveal my mom's pale face. She had somehow managed to think of her phone at the last moment. With one hand supporting herself on the ground, she dragged herself along, the other hand clutching her phone, crying out, "Rebecca, you're really there. Save me, save your mom." Chewing on my spicy fish, I looked confused. "Do you think I'm God? Rebecca, Mom was wrong. You escaped to the mountain in advance. You must have known the tsunami was coming. You can save me." My mom was sharp, guessing my plan. Unfortunately, in a life-or-death moment, her mind was not clear. "I'm not God. I'm powerless." So I shook my head. "I can't save you." My mom cried bitterly, wailing continuously, "Rebecca, Mom was wrong. Mom was wrong. Ray is a brute. Mom shouldn't have loved her. Rebecca, save Mom. Mom will only love you from now on." She stretched her neck out, like a corpse crawling out of the water. I watched silently. 3 seconds later, the tsunami struck like a giant palm. Boom, everything in the camera was destroyed, leaving only murkiness, and then darkness. The video cut off. My heart tightened for a moment, then I exhaled in relief. Mom. Be a qualified mom in your next life. I hadn't lost track of the information about the tsunami because my dad and sister started frantically sending me voice messages. I was surprised. Did they really have nothing else to do? I played the voice message from my dad. Rebecca, I've taken refuge in the Seaview Hotel. We're running up to the rooftop. The hotel is over 100 meters tall. I'm with your sister. We're heading to the roof. You need to call the police for help. I tried, but no one is answering. Remember, it's the Seaview Hotel. I was speechless. A tsunami like this, and he thinks calling the police would help. Even helicopters dare not approach the coast. Clearly, fear had clouded my dad's judgment. He was terrified and could only think of me, his only hope for help. As I expected, he continued to plead, Rebecca, you must have known the tsunami was coming since you've already escaped to the mountains. What should Dad do? Will the hotel collapse? When I didn't reply, he continued, sweetheart, Dad really loves you. I'm just not good at expressing it. A father's love is silent. Please don't be mad at me. I felt nauseous listening to this. Indeed, in fear, people can lose all reason. He and Mom both assumed that since I had managed to evacuate in advance, maybe I could save them too, but I really couldn't. Then I listened to Ray's message. Her voice was rushed and panicked, yet she forcibly sweetened it. Sis, I'm with Dad. Can you think of a way to help us? The tsunami is about to hit, and I'm really scared. If I remember correctly, it had been over a decade since she last called me sister. No, that's wrong. She had called me that many times, but always in a mocking tone. Like, oh dear sister, why are you being scolded again? Dear sister, do you want my new iPhone? Mom just bought it for me. Sister, I actually like you a lot. Just kidding. There were too many such instances, so I replied to her, Dear sister, I do have a way to save you, but I won't. Ray fell for my trick and continued to plead humbly for her life. I watched unemotionally as she performed her act of desperation. Eventually, she broke down as usual and cursed, You bitch. Are you playing with me? Don't you believe I could kill you? My dad was similar. He sent dozens of voice messages, which I didn't listen to. Like Ray, he was both scared and furious, completely losing it. Rebecca, do you even have a conscience? We're your family, and you knew about the tsunami and just ran for your life. Are you even human? My dad played the filial piety card. I responded with a crushing blow. I don't have a family because you're all going to die. Rebecca, you bitch. His voice message cut off mid-sentence, followed by a few seconds of the roaring waves, Ray's screams, and the tumultuous sounds of crashing waves against walls, shattering glass, and the collapsing building. Clearly, the tsunami had reached the Seaview Hotel. Just when I thought everything had quieted down, Ray sent one last message. Bitch, I will never forgive you. The building is collapsing. Rebecca, you will not die a good death. The voice message ended with a deafening explosion, mixed with the sound of the waves hitting the walls, glass breaking, and the building tilting, and then, everything was over. As a cursed soul who should have perished, I still live, while the close-knit family I knew is gone, all gone. 13. There was no more activity on the mobile phone. Stepping out of the dojo, I stood on the viewing platform looking towards the sea. The ocean was over 30 kilometers away, invisible from here. And the waves were not in sight either, yet the air was violently stirring. A strange salty and fishy smell had already spread to Fisherman's Peak. Noise began to erupt atop Fisherman's Peak. At last, I saw some tourists. They were glued to their phones, shocked and frightened. A tsunami has occurred. I heard the waves were 100 meters high. Could it reach us here? We're not far from the resort. It's a disaster. Today the resort had its highest number of visitors, alas. The air was thick with tension, everyone uneasy. Soon, this unease grew, exploding in everyone's hearts like a bolt from the blue, for on the horizon, a massive black wave appeared. It was a flood formed by the tsunami hitting the shore, now rushing towards the city of My God, run, many shouted, rushing down the hill in panic. Fortunately, some remained rational, yelling, Don't go down, stay on the mountain, it's safest here. The chaotic crowd squeezed towards the summit. Some were calling their families to flee, others continuously dialed emergency services, the lines buzzing nonstop. I watched the approaching black dragon with a chill in my heart and a heavy oppression. The Taoist priests from the dojo rushed out, urging everyone not to stand at the summit, as the tsunami would bring fierce winds. Everyone then took shelter inside the dojo. I also retreated to my refuge, where I had hidden supplies behind the statues, only taking them out when needed. Moments later, a thunderous roar tore through the sky, as if ripping it open. Countless fierce winds accompanied by mist and the terrifying waves crashed against Fisherman's Peak. The mountain seemed to tremble, and so did my heart. Luckily, Fisherman's Peak did not collapse. The sound of the giant waves was incessant. The entire city of it was submerged. Heavy rain poured from the sky, the air filled with particles of sea mud. Everything blurry and obscured, as night fell. Visibility dropped even further, but the sound of the waves had significantly decreased. A typical tsunami lasting an hour or two would be considered extraordinary. 100-meter tsunami couldn't last too long either. Now, the waters were receding, the sea was returning to the ocean, but the damage that had been done could not be undone. I lay under the cushion of the statue, drifting off into a restless sleep filled with nightmares. I dreamed I was being swallowed by the tsunami again. Struggling to breathe, my skin cold, at the moment of death, faceless strangers struggled to save me, a man and a woman, desperately trying to rescue me. In my dream, I cried out, "Mom, Dad." Upon waking, tears streamed down my face. The faceless mom and dad had vanished. I sat blankly, motionless for a long time. This dream was a reflection of my inner self. I longed for the love of my parents, but unfortunately, my parents had no faces, because the parents with faces simply did not love me. They would never enter my dreams. Shaking my head, I stood up, my heart as hard as stone. Outside, the daylight had brightened, helicopters circled in the sky, loudspeakers broadcasting inspiring messages. "Dear citizens, the tsunami has receded. Please do not panic. Rescue forces are being deployed. Please follow the orders." Tourists ran to the summit, waving their hands, crying tears of joy, while many more ran recklessly downhill, eager to see their families, looking down from the mountain. I could only see endless muddy waters. That was the sea, still receding, leaving behind a landscape full of scars. Additionally, there were pools of water-filled riverbeds and dead bodies. Rescue forces were indeed deployed, with helicopters and lifeboats in action. I laughed at myself, thinking I was being overly worried. No need to stock up on supplies anymore. The sun has come out, and we no longer need those supplies. 3 months later, the coastal areas had largely returned to normal. I was called to the police station several times to identify bodies, but none of them were my family members. My family, likely shattered to pieces or dragged into the sea by the waters. In any case, I would never see them again. Not even their bodies could be recovered. I naturally inherited the family estate, a commercial apartment, 3 shops, and a rental building, oh right, and also $3,800,000 in savings. In a city, these assets were enough for me to live comfortably, so I silently pondered for a long time, why, despite being so wealthy, did my family still treat me that way? They only bought me swimsuits from roadside stalls. Actually, I didn't mind the roadside ones. But why did my sister get branded swimsuits costing over $300 each? In the end, all I could do was soothe my heart and let it go. Some parents are inherently biased, or rather, they are heartless, but I have a heart, so I always linger between pain and despair, longing for my heart to be filled with even a sliver of love. How childish. Rebecca, from now on, take good care of yourself.